Good morning. We'll call the Wright County Board meeting of May 2nd, 2017 to order. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I can't even see this flag.
Okay.
I'll step aside.
Let's do the usual.
I was thinking about that. Okay, good morning, everyone. The minutes from 4/25/17 County Board minutes. Does anyone have a chance to look at them?
Mr. Chair, I will move the minutes from last week.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Hewsom, second by Commissioner Potter. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carries unanimous. The agenda for today. Any additions, deletions? We're trying to keep that to a minimum. We're doing good, right, Lee?
Doing very good.
right.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda, and that's 2 weeks in a row. We're on a roll.
I'll second it.
Motion by Commissioner Vetch, second by Commissioner Delighten. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The consent agenda for today.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Delighten, second by Commissioner Hewsom. No discussion on that. If there was, pull that off. Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. And we do that so fastly, we might have to go 9:02 next time. So, second, Yvonne.
Mr. Chair, I think Virgil will be wordy enough.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Virgil Hawkins, our highway engineer. 9:03, you're up.
Good morning, Chairman and Board of Commissioners. Today I have one item for your consideration. It's to approve a maintenance agreement with the City of Buffalo for them to maintain County Road 147 for us, as they've done the last 2 years.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the maintenance agreement.
I'll
for
second it.
147.
Motion by Commissioner Potter, second by Commissioner Delighten. Is this a regular motion or a resolution, Virgil?
There's no resolution.
No resolution, Mr.
Okay.
Chair.
Yes, go ahead, Commissioner Potter.
Yes, Virgil, I'd like to take this time and thank the City of Buffalo. I think the cost of doing this is well within reasonable. You know, they didn't try gouging or anything. They are really nice, and it works out well for all parties. So, again, thank you, City of Buffalo.
Yeah, Mr. Chair and Virgil, this was kind of one of those strange stretches of roads, so it's nice that we came to a amenable agreement.
Is this, oh, go ahead.
No, I just think it's good when we should be working together with the cities
Yep.
and the townships, wherever it makes sense. We should be working together.
And Virgil, is 147 the one that's kind of out south, just south of the railroad tracks there?
Yeah, it was disconnected from 55. and
Right.
Settlers Parkway was built. It ends at Settlers Parkway now.
And wasn't
It's kind
part
of just a segment sitting out there not connected to any
wasn't
other.
part of that Rockford Township too, or Buffalo Township?
Goes up
Right.
to Rockford,
Buffalo
yeah.
Township and Rockford Township.
But the
Correct.
city has worked something out with them too,
Correct.
apparently. Okay, well, that's good. Okay, further discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Virgil.
Thank you.
I think we're close enough to 9:05. Mark Mattice, our Parks and Recreation Director.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Here today to take care of some annual routine business, and that is the passage of a resolution for the Snowmobile Association Grant and Aid Program. The county is the local government sponsor. The grant goes through us, the grant process. Revenue then gets dispersed back to the Snowmobile Club for their maintenance each year. It's a performance-based grant, and looking for a passage of a resolution so we can get the application in.
Mark, what kind of dollars are we talking on this grant?
Around 80,000.
Okay. And then this goes out to the different clubs then too? Is that a different?
There's 4 benchmarks a year that they have to satisfy. I help them with the paperwork, and then I check their benchmarks, make sure that they're doing what they're doing, say they're doing, submit it to the DNR. DNR cuts Wright County a check, and then it goes back to the association, which gets disseminated to the clubs for grooming and trail and sign maintenance.
That sounds like a lot of money, but if it's like their groomer machine, or is there a separate grant if they were to get a new machinery or something?
That would be a grant they would apply for an equipment grant.
Because I said that those machines are awful expensive. This wouldn't go very far.
No, this is just for their activities on the ground.
Yeah.
Too bad we haven't had more snow lately.
Yeah.
Well,
Not much
the
grooming
grant
going on.
has been reduced last year, and looks like there may be some reductions this year because of that. No snow, less licenses being sold, registrations, less revenue on the DNR side, which means less revenue per mile on the trail system.
How long have you has Wright County been receiving this and working with those snowmobile clubs?
Oh, gosh, I don't know, long time. Since I've been here, before I was here, so.
And then the thing is, even this money, the clubs though put a lot of volunteer work in.
It's all volunteer hours, yep.
Yeah, so,
It goes to print their maps, it goes to buy new signs, trail alignments, maintenance.
putting up the signs in the
How many
fall,
signs?
taking them down.
How many clubs do we disperse this amongst?
We're fortunate in Wright County that we have a snowmobile association, so all the clubs are part of one association, so we only deal directly with the associations. Where in a lot of other counties, they don't have that cooperativeness, so they have to deal with each club separately and have different grant applications, so we are fortunate that it's pretty well streamlined.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution for the authorizing appropriate county officials to sign the grant applications for the Wright County Snowmobile Association participation.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Delight, second by Commissioner Vetch. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion? Oh, it's a roll call. And I started off, I vote aye.
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 Okay,
Thank you.
resolution carries.
Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
You too.
Okay, let's see here. Should we do
Committee?
We're a few
We got
minutes
time.
ahead of
a
9.
few minutes ahead? Why don't we do some,
Committee?
what's that?
Ways and Means is pretty short. Want me to do that?
You want to do that? Okay, go ahead, Chris. We'll do a Ways and Means Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Ways and Means Committee met on April 26, 2017. Members present: Hewsum, Burrell, Lee Kelly. Others present: Asselson, Kivala, Kreiser, L. Meyer, Riley, Stevens, Luke Johnson, who is the district manager of Wright County Soil and Conservation District, Bill Fisher, and Richard LeBute, members of the public. And the discussion was a delegation of Wetlands Conservation Act. Kreiser said the purpose of this meeting is not to talk about pending or previous cases that are under litigation. He further summarized the current situation. The Wright County Board is a local unit of government for the towns and unincorporated areas of the county. The board delegated the authority for wetland enforcement by resolution to the Wright County Soil and Conservation District, SWCD. The SWCD likewise passed a resolution accepting that jurisdiction. Kreiser said the rules allow for that process, and the county has followed it. He said the rules do not specify how to take away the jurisdiction. If the county passed a resolution taking it back, the State Board of Water and Soil Resources, Bowser, would have to be notified about the action and additional steps taken. The county would have to have staff in place who are trained in water management in order to enforce this program, or the county board would have to do a moratorium until staffing is up to speed. He listed the aspects of the appeals process that would have to be implemented and managed by the county. And essentially, this was just to take a look at the current Soil and Water Board and the wetlands portion of that. And we had some good discussion, and the recommendation was to direct Riley, Stevens, and Kreiser to research wetland enforcement processes used by other counties and report back to a future Ways and Means Committee meeting. And unless you have something to add, Mr. Chair, I'll make a recommendation to approve the minutes and the recommendation.
Sounds good.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Houston, second by Commissioner Delight. Discussion?
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead, Commissioner Delight.
It says in here that we're the local unit of government for the towns and unincorporated areas.
That might not be,
So, I mean, does that mean that regarding the buffer, we have to deal with the cities and that sort of
I
stuff?
don't think that might not be accurate. I don't think we're the local government unit for cities. Brian, the cities do their own wetland enforcement, I do believe. That might not be.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, cities can elect to become their own LGU
Yeah.
under the Wetlands Conservation Act, and so most of our cities have done that. My recollection is that the buffer law is kind of a separate animal because it deals with public waters, not just wetlands and things like that. So that one I'm not entirely clear on.
And then that's something we should probably get clarified at, for your
That's
next
something we'll
Ways
talk
and
about
Means.
too.
Yeah.
Yep, good point.
Good idea.
Ways
Good
and Means
point.
Committee, so that we understand the full implementation.
The buffer law, it's really, that doesn't even go just to the county. The buffer law, not the enforcement part, but the buffer law, I don't know what you call the research or whatever, to find out whether they're adequate or not, goes straight to soil and water. That's the way the law is set up. Wetland enforcement is a little different, whereas the counties are the local governmental unit,
Yeah.
and then they can delegate it or they can keep it themselves. So.
And that's why I think it would be important to find out
I think
if
you're
the
right.
cities and stuff.
Yep,
We
might
have
as
to
well.
deal with that part of it too, because that brings in a lot more areas to deal with.
Yeah, very
Good
true.
point.
Mr. Chair, have we heard anything more about what the funding is gonna look like for the enforcement? Has anybody heard?
I don't think there's anything.
Nothing's landed yet that I'm
There-
aware of. Still kind of pending on what the
Any funding?
legislature decides to do.
That's what I thought, but I wanted to make sure that somebody else hadn't heard something that I haven't, so.
Okay. All right. So that's a good point. All right. So all in favor of the recommendation in the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Carries. Okay, now I think we're back on schedule. Our county coordinator, Lee Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I put the committee minutes relative to the space study on as a timed item. Timing-wise, it made sense to do the minutes first, then discuss the recommendation. So typically, these would be an item for consideration, but you're seeing it as a timed item today. So we met as a committee of the whole on April 25th, 2017, to discuss the master facility space study. All 5 commissioners were in attendance along with myself, Hevala, Wright, West, and Wilczek. Facilities Director Wilczek said the purpose of the meeting to discuss the responses to our RFP for the Wright County Master Facility Space Study. We had 2 respondents, Wold and BKV Group, and then we kind of discussed the proposals. Noted that there was some difference in price, but we felt that both firms we had worked with in the past and have provided very good services in both cases. Wilczek said both firms appear to be proposing similar products and services and believes that it's an apples-to-apples comparison of what we were looking for. Just kind of summarizing here. As I mentioned, we have worked with both firms in the past. Wald worked on our government center feasibility study for the courts. And then our BKV is, of course, working on our facility design for the new courts facility. So we kind of discussed both firms and the proposals. Ultimately, the recommendation was to authorize BKV Group to conduct the Wright County Master Facility Space Study. And the amount quoted was a not to exceed of $19,000. And then the request was made for BKV Group to attend the meeting today and briefly talk about the scope and nature of the project at today's board meeting. So,
Okay. Thank you. And then should we
Yes.
hear from Bruce before we?
we could
I
vote on the
want to.
minutes and then
Okay. All right.
Mr. Chair,
Bruce.
excuse me, Commissioners and staff, good to see you all this morning. So we look forward to the opportunity, and we do a lot of this type of work. We're working with Monoman County now on a similar kind of study and doing, excuse me, I'm out on a horse this morning. and a few cities around the state also with similar assessments. So basically, I think the goal would be to look at this existing building, especially once the judicial services have moved out, and how to best utilize this building, how to bring in potentially human services back, other partners. I think the RFP mentioned the idea of, are there other partners? We're doing a project with LeSueur County right now where there's a local community, it's Minnesota Valley Commission Act, I think. It's about bringing other businesses, other entities into the facility that might have similar interest and things like that. So I think that'll be part of the analysis. When I talked to Mr. Wilczek before he left to go on vacation or away for a few days, we talked about, as soon as he got back, putting together a schedule for the study as well. So I think it's right in line with the type of work we do, interviewing the various departments, looking at their current, the study is to do a 20-year projection, 5, 10, probably 15, 20-year analysis on what the current staff is, what the current projections of the staff might be, and come up with an assessment for those types of spaces and how to best utilize the building. So, and part of that assessment then, once we understand the space needs, would then be to look at the options for accommodating that space. Do they all come in this building? How does that layout, how does that work for this existing building? Do they go to a different building? Does this property get sold? All of those types of options will be put on the table, along with the cost analysis for what all those options might be.
Well, Bruce, you're going to get to meet everyone in the county. You got everyone that's moving out to the new courts facility you've dealt with, and now you'll do with everybody that's staying back. So
I might as well get a house out here.
Mr. Chair, Bruce, so are you
The
guys
Wright
gonna?
County.
go ahead.
Are you gonna encompass the old jail and options, or whether it needs to be just left alone in the vacant, tear down? Is that gonna be encompassed in this?
Yes, we need to look at everything, because it's space, but it's very difficult space to work with. Matter of fact, a discussion we're having with LeSueur County right now with their old jail is they're looking at turning it into a library. And so there's options for it, but because of the hardness of construction for a jail facility, remodeling is not very forgiving. So you've got a certain amount of value to the buildings you have, and the option and the study as to how do you best utilize those. At the end of the day, if you're paying a bunch of utility costs for that jail to keep it in mothballed and there's nothing that can be done with it, then one of the options might be, can we tear a portion of the building down? Scott County, when they did their new jail facility, they had an old sheriff's office kind of dispatch center that was part of the building, and it was mothballed. It was attached to the building, but they couldn't do anything with it. Well, at the end of the day, a couple years later, they just tore it off and sealed up the location where it tied to the existing building. Those kinds of things I think we need to look at. Because part of that is, are you paying utility? Is there utilization? Is there a purpose that can be used for that space? And what's the cost to make that work? What are you paying for the utilities for that portion of the building? And is that worth paying utilities for if it can't be utilized? And what's the cost to demolish it and do those kinds of things? So I think all that needs to be looked at.
Mr. Chair, one other question
ahead.
was, were you gonna look at the parking situation, since we're kind of in a landlocked situation here, with bringing back some of that stuff in, just as part of the scope of it?
Yes, the way that Mr. Wilczek put the proposal together, it does look at that, and it's funny that you mentioned that, because out of all the times I've been coming here so far, I think today is the first day that there was absolutely no parking anywhere to be found. So clearly there are days that parking is very limited around this site. So, yes.
And to that point, though, we're going to be bringing people back here, but we also are having a whole lot of people that are going out, so it might work out.
I just looking from the
Parking.
growth standpoint,
Yeah.
that was.
Go ahead, Commissioner
Yeah,
Potter.
Mr. Chair, thank you. Bruce, I was working with Alan pretty close on this because I was the one that pushed for the master space study. After we did a courts remodeling and found out it was not cost effective, that's why I went there. I want to make sure we're looking at this facility correct, and I applaud your company and thank you for coming forward to this, and it's a very, very nice bid you put in for doing this. The idea was to make sure the parking and all different aspects of what we're doing here, because if we can get 20, 30 years out of this facility, fine, but if it turns into like the court study, that we'd get 10 years, and we're gonna spend $20 million, then we gotta start rethinking another path. So this is just information gathering to all the different aspects, and I think Alan was pretty clear on this, and I think in the proposal, he made it so all aspects are on the table, what to do. So me, I think this is a good value, not only for us up here to make good decisions, but also for the public to see that we're thinking about what the future holds here, because the dynamics in this building are going to change dramatically when they move out and potentially Health and Human Service moves in.
No, exactly, Commissioner. And I think one of the things we'll do when Alan does get back is talk about the schedule, because I think it'll be important. As we go through the steps of the study, you know, interviewing the various departments, doing the space programming, assessing what their kind of current long-range needs are, coming back in a workshop setting with the county board to share that information as we're developing it, I think would be very important prior to the completion of the study.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, go ahead, Commissioner Deline.
Do you see anything that was in that proposal, or something that was lacking that proposal, that you think we're going to need to have done that will cost us extra?
No, I think the only thing, Commissioner, that, a very good question. I think the only thing of course, you don't want surprises. You don't want surprises from me. You don't want surprises of things that weren't thought about in the study. The only thing we'll have to talk about is the like mechanical systems of this building. We'll want to talk to Alan and verify what you currently have. If there's cost associated with this building that you have to address, you know, the re-roofings, and I think you've probably done a very good job at tracking these things, but we want to make sure it's kind of part of the overall, kind of part and parcel of the, you know, if you're going to put money in this building, it's not just remodeling the inside to make it work for the various departments, but does the mechanical system now need to be upgraded because it's 30, 40 years old? I think we need to put those components together, but I think we can work with Alan without adding cost because we didn't do a facility assessment. Some of the studies we do, in answer to that more specifically, some of the studies we do, we start off with a facility assessment. So where we come in with our engineers and we look at the building, and basically what we're doing is assessing the condition of the building, potentially ADA issues as well as just condition of equipment. Is it past its life expectancy? Does it need to be replaced? Is it a safety issue? Again, I think you've done such a good job, and you've got staff that's done such a good job at tracking that. I think it's just going to be discussing that with Alan, making sure we document anything that might need to be done if you do anything with the building. So,
Because, yeah, I know there will be some ADA issues with the old courts area,
Yep.
with some of the restrooms and stuff, so. Okay,
yeah,
thank you.
I don't anticipate any additional cost. We'll coordinate that information to make sure it's in the report, though.
Great, thank you.
Okay. I think we're ready for a motion, and the motion then, Lee, would also be for the accepting the minutes and the recommendation to bring BKV on as the study,
Master facility study.
master facility study.
So
Chair,
moved.
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
Or second.
We'll give it to Commissioner Deline, and second by Commissioner Hewsome. Further discussion, just that we're really looking forward to this, and one of the things I mentioned it at the meeting too, you know, it's one thing to bring us back here, you know, let's say some of the human services people and getting this set up. It needs to last a long time. Commissioner Potter is on board with that too, so I think we're in good shape, so. All right, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Welcome, Bruce, and
Thank you.
look
Chair,
forward to
Commissioners, we look
continue
forward-
working with you.
Thank you for your trust, and we look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
And we'll see you.
Likewise, thank you.
9:20, Jim Dahl, Risk Manager.
Morning, Mr. Chair, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity to come before you today. I'm excited to ask for permission, authority to sign the OSHA grant, which we applied for several months ago. If you recall, I appeared before this board asking permission to apply for an OSHA safety grant through the Department of Labor related to a workplace injury the county had sustained back in 2016. Just to recap that event, we had a highway employee working on a sander stand. It's a device in the back of a plow truck. It's a very awkward, heavy device. They use a chain loop system to try to remove that device. This operation occurs several times throughout the year for the various use of these plow trucks. During the removal process, the sander box actually fallen on the employee, causing a pretty significant injury. As an effort of the Public Works Safety Committee, we came together, we discussed this issue, kind of how it happened, why it happened, what could have been done. As a group, we've figured out that they make a device called a rolling sander stand. So it's a piece of equipment that could be essentially slid under the sander stand itself, making the removal and addition a much safer procedure. Working together to find out the next steps, we found out that Department of Labor, OSHA Division consultation has an opportunity for entities like ours to apply for a safety grant matching dollars up to $10,000. The total cost of this project is about $21,000. We did apply for $10,000. We were awarded $7,500 of that amount with that. So before you, I'm asking permission to sign on behalf of Wright County in my capacity as a risk manager to accept this grant.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I'm fully aware of this initiative there, and I applaud it. And $7,500 versus us paying everything is, I think it's a blessing.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to authorize signatures on the OSHA safety grant.
I'll second it.
Motion by Commissioner Potter, second by Commissioner Leiden, and, yeah, thank you for your work
Yeah,
on
thank
this,
you.
Tim. So, further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries, yeah.
Thank you.
Tim?
And we have Committee of the Whole. Mike, would you do those? That was our
Yes.
strategic planning, I believe.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Committee of the Whole Strategic Planning met April 24th as a continuation of earlier meetings. Members' present were the commissioners and Lee Kelly, coordinator, and along with Sue Virgin.
And I was not there, it's just,
Oh, that's right, Mr. Burrell was not there, Commissioner Burrell was not there for other reasons.
That's why it went so fast.
That's right. Yeah, enough of the talk. Anyway, we updated the strategic plan. We picked up with this last, with the identifying goals in the retreat from 2015. How Kelly said he'd like to hear from the commissioner how the administration can support decisions boards meet their goals and continue to move forward. We discussed goal number 1, provide quality service, limited resources. We've had some successes on that. We shifted passport to responsibility. Kaizen events will take place regarding accounts receivable. Those are seem to be very advantageous to do those because it makes people open up their eyes and think of what other better ways to do the processes. Discussion was also raised about different accounting software used by the highway, HHS, and I mean that was dealing with the technology committee is dealing with that issue, which is kind of nice. They're getting into what it is, what makes, what we can do without, and what we can streamline this process here. Delight also know the Infotech should assist and provide that information, which is, again, this is a real good thing to get that straightened out to make sure that we're being as efficient as possible. And discussing the goal number 2 is ensuring the financial stability of the county, and this is one that we've all take near and dear. I mean, we're fortunate we're the 10th largest county. We're 86th out of 87 in per capita spending, which tells you that we're being very judicious with the dollar here. We just want to discuss how to use capital improvement program to the fullest without it being a wish list, but how to county move forward on specific projects and improvements and how they're funded. Continued discussion on that goal number 2 is how to use the county program aid and MCIT dividend dollars and phase them out of the budget situation and put them as a separate line item. If you notice, a lot of counties are starting to go that way. When I was mayor, we were doing that towards the LGA. Or the cities get the local government aid, we're weeding that off instead of having that a budgetary item to lower the levy. It's a separate because that number changes all the time and you can't count on it. And it kind of gets you in a flux. In city of Rogers got out of that about 30 years ago. That was a long time. They were one of the first cities to take that out of the equation. So it's nice to go back and how we can establish a funding plan for CIP over time and not rely on like turn back dollars and things like that. I mean, so they're working on it. Kelly, Virgin, Hevela, and Lindsay Meyer will draft a plan for that to see how we go forward. And many other strategies and tasks to accomplish in financial stability are still in process, which we've come a long ways in a short period of time on streamlining a lot of things, which is kind of nice. Discuss goal number 3, fostering a positive work it says enforcement for employees. I thought it was environment, but I could be wrong with that number, that name.
Yeah, I
Policy,
don't think it should be enforcement.
oh, but it says enforcement. It should say
Or maybe
environment.
that was HR's recommended to have the enforcement
Yeah.
put on there.
Sonny has to deal with the iron fist, okay. Okay, now, policy changes how to offer more flexibility for both supervised employees to alter schedules, additional policy procedures under review, and ensuring they're up to date, because we've uncovered a few of those that were, hadn't been looked at for a long time, and you continue to uncover that. Everything's evolving, and they need to be looked at from time to time. We have that in a lot of different aspects within the county here. Provide additional training opportunities and resource for employees, which doesn't hurt, because the better trained our employees are, the better, more efficient they are, the better for the taxpayers. The facilities space study, we just took care of that just moments ago, to provide adequate work facilities. We're in the process of that. We've done a lot of upgrades here, and we're moving forward on that to ensure that in the future we have a proper workspace for things. And the county's we've been successful in reducing our the pay structure from all over the board to one pay scale, and that was a lot of work. And thanks for the human services and HR director
Human
and
resources.
administration for all this. Holy man, that was a mess.
Human resources.
Human resources. Excuse me.
You said human services.
Oh,
I do,
yeah.
I
Yeah,
make that mistake all the time,
There's a
too.
big difference.
Sonny, he's trying to give your credit to somebody else.
I apologize.
No,
for
it
that.
wasn't Sunny anyway. No, it was before Sunny.
No, but it's like, say they had different, 8 different
Yeah, there was eight
different
different
pay
pay
different
scales.
scales, and that was like, that's nuts. How do you make sure that's fair?
Well, especially when you're dealing with the point system.
Right.
You know, people with the same points were making different amounts.
Right. Yeah, that was a big job, and it was
Yeah.
nice to get that done.
So all these here were just recommendation or informational only, which is kind of nice. It's an ongoing process, and we scheduled a committee of the whole for May 15th to have Heather Bandine from AMC discuss roles of board administration within the strategic process, which is another learning experience for us. And with that, Mr. Chair, I'll move the minutes and the information.
Mr. Chair, I'll second that with a clarification.
Okay, go ahead, Commissioner Houston.
Just to reiterate what Kaizen events are, as part of lean training, and Kaizen it's a process to look at aspects of, the current processes, take them apart, and put them back together in a better way, so, just to,
Instead of 20 steps to do something,
exactly.
do it in 5.
Yep.
Mr. Chair?
Okay, go ahead.
So, we are going to change the enforcement to environment?
Correct.
Okay,
yes.
just wanted to make sure.
Good catch.
Good point.
And then, one other question. Have we shared these, the strategic plan with the department heads and that sort of stuff?
Parts of it, but never to date that we discussed at the last meeting has not been out there, no.
Oh, okay.
Not to that level of
I
detail.
wasn't sure if we had provided the overall, because will always be a work in progress. But it's just that,
Maybe we could give an update at leadership meeting or something.
Yeah, be a good place.
Okay, all right. Motion to approve the minutes and recommendations.
there are no recommendations.
Oh, there's no recommendations for the minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Personnel Committee, Commissioner Delighten.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members present, Houston, Delight, and Hesse, we met on April 26th. Others present were Kelly, Kreiser, Mattias, Meyer, Hoffman, Hevela, Edmondson, and Hawkins. First item was the concept of creating a drainage coordinator position. In an earlier meeting, the Ditch Committee had met on March 22nd, and we've discussed about having somebody kind of oversee all the different aspects of the ditches. I mean, we have our ditch inspector, but we need somebody to follow through with everything to make sure that after we've done the cleaning and spent all the money as part of those ditches, that we also have somebody to make sure that we're getting things sprayed and that sort of stuff. We've looked at maybe tying that person in with the highway or the parks. Highway didn't really seem to have any interest in getting another employee to work with them. Kind of disappointed in that because they have some people that have the engineering degrees, and some of that stuff would fit in there with them. But at this point, Heville is going to take the lead to continue discussion with Hesse and Matthijs. The Parks Department at this point was willing to have that person as an employee. There are some things with the spraying and a few other things that it can also possibly work together with the parks, but more to come on that. We're just something new. There's a few counties out there that do have this drainage coordinator position. We don't know what it's going to look like at the end. Our human resources say that they will make it perfect. So we'll yet to see what happens. Item number 2 was implement a Wright County Wellness Day program. And it's not just one day, it's a number of different days and programs. Hess had emphasized the direct correlation between improved health and reduced claims resulting in reduced premiums, and that's one of the things what we're trying to do. So we're establishing a comprehensive wellness program that's almost necessary if we're ever going to become a self-insured company or a self-insured county. Health Partners had come up with a program. The insights are used to tailor wellness initiatives around the highest risk factors among the Wright County employee population. In 2016, only 191 employees completed the health assessment. So in order to get more participation in it, HR is recommending an implementation of the Wellness Day program or wellness program for 2017. It'll be an incentive-based program to motivate employees to make healthier life decisions. Charlie, that means that some of the stuff you've been eating, you can't eat anymore.
Okay.
Employees will be required to earn 200 points in 2017 to be eligible for paid wellness day off in 2018. Completion of the health assessment is required and worth 120 points. And I know there's other counties out there that'll actually have a wellness day where people come in and kind of have a simple physical type thing, just where they check everything out on each employee. I talked to one county. This is when I was down in Dallas, Texas, for a NACO program. When they had their wellness program and they had somebody come in to facilitate it, there was actually 2 people that ended up in the hospital that day because they were so close to having issues. So, it's something that don't realize. Anyway, completion of the health assessment is required and worth 120 points. Various points will also be assigned to specific programs. Offered through health partners, some are on-site wellness programs and wellness committee programs events. Detailed information regarding the Wellness Day program, activities and associated points and the benefits of engagement are highlighted in the attached documentation. So I urge you to look at all that sort of stuff. It's very interesting. And I think it's something the county should do. So the recommendation was to implement an employee wellness day program effective for the calendar year 2017. Only cost really associated with is an extra paid day off for the employees in 2018, which I think is a good thing. And then the third item was revision of current process for filling budget vacancies. HR has indicated she's received numerous concerns regarding the amount of time between receipt of an employee resignation before a position is posted due to the current process of waiting to post vacancies until the board approves the consent agenda on which the vacancy is posted. HR is requested considering of a notification process which grants authority to Human Resources to begin the posting process immediately upon receipt of a resignation notice, an affirmation from the department of the desire to post. Continue to post on the consent agenda, but provide authority to post immediately upon receipt of resignation notice. So the recommendation was to continue to post the budgeted vacancies on the board consent agenda, but provide authority to Human Resources to post immediately upon receipt of resignation notice, an affirmation of desire to post from the department. So right now, it can take up to 2 weeks for it to actually hit the consent agenda, depending on when it would happen. So now we're already 2 weeks behind getting an employee, and it'd be nice to get somebody, in some cases, actually that would overlap, to do some training before that person leaves. Sometimes it'll work, sometimes it won't, but it should help streamline the process. Personnel Committee felt it was still important to be put on the consent agenda for the commissioners to see what's being replaced out there, to give us an idea. Anything that's been budgeted, there's no reason to really send it to wait to have to do anything. I know at one time, every time there was a personnel that needed to be replaced, it had to go back to the Personnel Committee.
Right.
We've kind of gone beyond that. We've moved forward, and I think that this is a good way to keep the board still informed, but to streamline the hiring process, because it can take so long, especially on the sheriff's office, where it takes months to get somebody employed. So 2 weeks can make a difference. So I'll make a motion to approve the minutes and the recommendations.
I'll second that.
Mr. Chair, I wanted to ask 2 questions. One was, Sonny, how many people do we currently have in 2017 done the health assessment? So 191 in 2016, has it increased at all?
We are trending higher compared to date last year to date this year. I don't know the exact numbers, but I do know that we are, I want to say 12% higher completion, but not
Okay. And then the other question was, not that we generally ever would, but if we ever decided not to backfill and it was posted, is it a no turn, turn back at that point? If once it's posted, if we decide we haven't gone through the total offering somebody a job, we can still kill it at any time still.
And it would just require that HR would contact anybody who had applied and say that we put the process on hold.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that if for some reason, not that it would be
Yeah,
likely.
no, and that was a concern, but yeah.
Right, and that's what I wanted to mention too, because there's times where somebody leaves, and that is an opportunity to change some positions
Right.
around and maybe streamline the operation, and
Yeah.
hopefully the department's heads are doing that before it came to this.
Well, and that's one of the things.
But it's something that the board might want to take a look at.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
And that was a lot of our discussion in the Personnel Committee, is that part of the reason why we would wait to do anything until we had that affirmation from the department head is because sometimes the department heads have that vacancy come through and they don't want it posted right away because they want to work with
Yep.
me
Or-
or with, on the board on making changes.
Or that 2 week time or whatever is a time to kind of say, wow, we're able to work around that, or maybe we can do a part-time person to, whatever, so.
Yeah.
All right.
And
But they-
Mr. Chair, it was, for example, when a deputy, turns in a resignation, rather than, they need to fill that position, so that would be an example of someone, but certainly if there's any, and they're requesting that, so if there's any other positions that they don't need to fill, or they're taking a look at their structure, then that would come before it.
As I say, fellow board members, I don't know if you've done this, I've done this, and I've done half the activities, and I'm only ranked 70th. So there's a lot of people that are really diligent, because I tell you, I was like, and some of these actually take some time. So to be only at 70th, I don't know if any of you participated. I'm kind of like, okay, now I really want to try and get to the top 10.
So do you think
Are you
maybe some
tracking?
people aren't as honest as you are, maybe, with the wellness and that sort of
Well, a
stuff?
lot of it, if you're syncing your Fitbits and stuff to it, it just tracks it on yourself, but it just takes a time. It's just because a lot of it's over a 6-8 week period of time. So
Yep.
And Mr. Chair,
Go ahead,
I have a
Commissioner Bennett.
rebuttal for Commissioner Vetcher. You're not referring to the back page there, the 70% down there in the back, are you?
Just 7% overweight or obese?
I might be.
I don't think so.
Okay. All right, so all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. And Technology Committee, Commissioner Vetch.
All right. Technology Committee met on the 26th of April. Members present were Commissioner Dahlheiden, Commissioner Vetch, Adam Tagaro, Lee Kelly, Virgil Hawkins, Sean Riley, Bob Hevola, Tanya West, Steve Jobs. Others present are Sherry Nelson, Olga Strobel, Connie Mae Cooper, Sam Sadness, Jen Russett, Sue Virgin, Todd Hoffman, Shauna Hathman, and Jim Odell. Okay, I think we got half the count there. The first item that we talked about was IT governance. We're still kind of it's a fluid document that we're trying to get it honed out. The document is updated to reflect the current technology language and was also given a fresh layout. Tagaro reviewed updates, committee changes requested. Preferred a clarification for the business analyst to specify IT, as the direction of the document should guide departments to adhere to IT standards but not infringe on other business directions. Steve Job requested that the Public Works Technology Committee and add extensions to the group. This will be sent to the board for final approval. Voicemail upgrade, which other members here will find this to be interesting. The current voicemail system, Copilot, is expiring within the year. In 2016, the IT department planned for an enterprise voicemail upgrade to be rolled out in 2017, funding by the CIP technology dollars. The kickoff meeting will be held on Friday, April 28th. The vendor, AGC, expects the timeline to take 4 weeks, which Strobel noted does not include necessary training and communication to end users. Commissioner Dahlheiden noted Strobel confirmed the updated and will be bringing Wright County's voicemail system into current technology advancements, providing a lot of features to end users. I requested an explanation of the back-end cost for supporting the upgrade. Nelson recognized the current and stated that the infrastructure team has reviewed the current hardware and states that it is being well aligned with accommodating the system, so no back-end upgrades are needed to make this upgrade. Nelson, go ahead. All right.
Let you finish.
Nelson also stated that the addition to the telecom specialists allowed the IT department to focus on voicemail environment with level expertise dedication. This new voicemail system actually offers some opportunities for voicemail to email. A lot of streamlining things that'll be more computerized versus the old school phone set in front of you. It's going to take some training process to this, but it's ultimately going to be a very, very nice upgrade, and the timing couldn't be better with getting rid of the old system and moving into this new one that is going to bring us to the 21st century.
Just a side note, when I worked at Hawkins Chemical, 12 years ago, 13 years ago, we had the voicemail to email system back then.
It only took the county 12 years later to get it.
So that's why I say we're finally getting into the 21st century.
Less than a generation away, though.
Yeah.
Get closer.
Yeah, so the action is to approve the voicemail upgrade. Requested projects, Tagawa reviewed new project requests that are being assessed by IT. Some insight in this process. It allows the IT BAs to assess the scope and see if the projects could be enterprise in nature. It also gives the light to the need of the internal department prioritization projects. This is just informational only. SharePoint will be upgraded to the 2013 version to accommodate the hybrid environment of the Office 365. We have to go through the 2013 version before we can go through the 2016 version. because there's components of the 2013 that we have to have before we can go to the 2016, because that was kind of the discussion point that we have. Why would we go from where we are now and just go to the most current, but we have to go through the stepping stone process, as there's components to it that need to be in place first. Approval of the SharePoint upgrade. Office 365, attendees presented a request for an update on Office 365 implementation. Nelson stated that the infrastructure team is actively preparing for the changes, getting servers ready, attending comprehensive training, working with other counties who have gone through this process already, ensuring Active Directory is ready for the transition. It was requested that the technology committee is brief on progress of the 365 on upcoming meetings. That was informational only. But IT, the SharePoint upgrade will be really nice, but the voicemail upgrade, everybody's going to find that to be very thumbs up.
Useful.
Useful,
helpful.
however you want to go for it, yeah.
It will require some training. Regarding the Office 365, is that they're going to roll that out department by department, and IT is going to be the first department, so that they all get up to speed on it with internal training, so that when another department gets rolled into Office 365, that everybody in IT department will be up to speed and be able to explain and help them with any issues, concerns, simple training, right away. So I think that's a good way to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, you want to make a motion for?
I'll make a motion to recommend the IT minutes and recommendations.
I'll second it.
Okay, Commissioner Vetch moves and Commissioner Delight seconds. Now, the only thing I was wondering about, do they have email to voicemail?
No.
We're not going to be able to help me either.
No, can't help you. There's no help for you, Charlie.
They will not send text messages to your phone.
But I think what they're going to do is they're going to try and figure out a way so that when somebody leaves you a phone message or an email message, that it automatically texts your phone.
Yeah,
That'd be
as I
nice.
just said.
That would be nice.
Charlie, you probably could request that Lee just read all your email and just record it on your voicemail for you. He'd probably be willing to do that for you.
I can do various voices if it's helpful.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so much junk email on there that I don't think Lee would enjoy it either. Okay, all in favor of the motion, say,
Mr. Chair,
yeah, go
just
ahead.
one other thing. Regarding the IT governance document,
Yeah.
those have been changes, so
Yes.
it is included.
It
so,
includes, yeah, so we are adopting the
Yeah.
changes to the
governance.
IT governance.
Yeah, 'cause I kind of
Yeah,
got the
we
impression
kinda
that you,
skipped it. Yeah.
you said that it was going to be coming, but it is
You're right, it
here.
is here.
Okay, all right, we got that.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Commissioner.
one other item. Is this something we could put out to the department heads right now so they know what's coming at them?
Well, yeah.
It's not ready yet.
No, this is ready.
This is right.
it.
This was just modifications to what we already had. This was already in place. We just made a few language changes.
So my question is if this can be passed on to the department heads so they know what's coming at them in the
Yeah,
future?
yeah. Like I said, it's already out there. This is just an upgrade.
Okay.
So the only thing, there was some small minor changes.
Yeah, literally there's a couple, we added 4 words to the entire document. That's it, so.
And then
Commissioner
one
Burrell
additional,
said, is that the 3 words?
and then one additional group was added into it.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, so all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. And Lee, you have a letter from the WCAT.
Yes, Mr. Chair, we received a letter from WCAT. I didn't quite make it in time to make it on last week's agenda, so I put it on today. They've had discussions regarding the invoices, the local share invoices coming in from Trailblazer Transit, and they are aware of the River Rider funds that the county received, which we have put in an account designated for transit purposes, but the county's not discussed further action on that at this time. So
Okay, and I see.
wanted to make sure you're aware of the
And
letter
Kelly,
coming in.
did you come for that item? Is that?
Yeah, I think Connie and I are both here.
Why don't you guys come up, because I have some
I have
questions.
some questions as well, too,
Yeah.
because if I heard correctly, they came back and denied the governance change of allowing it to be equal shares. Is that correct? Originally, the voting share between
Should
the employers was going to
identify
be
sheaves.
even. Is that true?
I'm probably not the best representative for that. What, I guess I didn't hear the whole question about the equal share.
Because when you go, they went back to negotiate, WCAT was going to be able to have equal voting shares between Sibley and McLeod.
yes.
And
Yeah.
you guys requested that as WCAT, and then they came back and they said no. Is that what the answer is, or is it?
At our last meeting, I don't think that was the case. I think that it sounds like WCAT and Trailblazer are going to be able to negotiate, and we're all going to, we have a few things that we're working on, and it doesn't sound like there's going to be any issues with that. It sounded like they were in agreement to make us an equal, so it'd be 2, 2, and 2.
Okay, and then before we begin, though, we all know you, but maybe you should
Okay.
introduce yourself.
Yeah,
just
hi,
to say
I'm
that.
Kelly Camp. I'm the city administrator with the city of Annandale, and I also serve as the treasurer for WCAT.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay. Should have done that first, my apology. I guess my concern, Kelly, is with the money, and I actually emailed Lee back this. If we're, I'm not sure where this is going, I guess, and I think maybe we should just wait to see, because because you did put in a letter, WCAT put in a letter, this is my understanding, and I haven't even seen this, but that they put a letter in to pull away from Trailblazer. Well, if that's the case, then where is this going to go? Is Trailblazer going to take over the transit and you guys will just cease to exist? Then it doesn't make sense to put the money out. Maybe we should just wait a little bit and see where this is all going. I have no problem, whoever ends up having the transit, to give it to them, whatever. But what I don't want to happen is this to be used for operating costs, and then when that money's used up, now we come back to the county and say, oh, we need more money. Because this is a deal, the county is not involved in this. I have no problem giving this money out if it's to maybe buy some buses, whatever it is, to do something as a one-time capital improvement thing. But if the county's going to be giving out money, then the county will run transit. I think we made that real clear a long time back. You weren't around, but.
Right. Yep. Yep. So maybe I'll just give you a quick
Sure.
little update on
Yeah.
what happened at our last WCAT meeting. There was a letter that Trailblazer received at the end of last year saying that we were going to try and pull out of the joint powers agreement with them. That was motivated by some concerns with the way the board or the Trailblazer board was structured, with McLeod County having, I believe it's McLeod having more votes than the other two counties, but Wright County being the significant partner in that joint powers board. So there were some concerns. There was a few things going on that not all the board members agreed with, and WCAT had some concerns with the direction the board was going and what it meant for transit in Wright County. So that's why, we had sent that letter. We started to plan on, okay, we're going to have transit in Wright County. That's why all of these cities stepped up and decided to do it when River Rider was getting dissolved, is because our constituents and your constituents want to have transit in Wright County. So our goal in pulling away was not to just give it to Trailblazer. It was to, consider, are there other partners? Are there other options? Is the standalone an option? What options do we have? In the meantime, since December when that letter went through, there's been a lot of discussions with members of Trailblazers, and it looks like we're going to be able to come to an agreement on restructuring the bylaws and what the our voting rights are and how that is shared between the three counties. We made a motion at our last meeting to withdraw that letter with some conditions, that there's some changes to the way the bylaws are written so that it provides a stronger foundation for that board. We all know that politics can mess up really good initiatives pretty quickly, but as long as you have a good foundation, that you can get through all of that. So, our concern in December was that there were some politics going on, that we were concerned that were going to affect public transit. But now with some of these bylaw changes that we are recommending, that we believe they're in favor of, I think we're going to get through all of that.
And Kelly, and you maybe weren't involved in this as much. I know you weren't at the meetings. I didn't remember you being here. But this board was negotiating with Trailblazer. They wanted to do business with the county. And Commissioner Sawatsky and I said to this board, Derek wasn't on, but we said, this is a bad deal. They are not giving the representation to Wright County that we deserve. We are the it will be the tail wagging the dog. I mean, I don't know how many analogies that we brought up saying it is not a good partnership. And basically, and I'm going to clarify what happened, the cities did an end around the county. We were at a deadlock with them negotiating, and you all said, we'll take it over. You did an end around the county, make no mistake about it. Then what happened is, because we said, Commissioner Sawatsky and I said, Commissioner Potter actually went down and met with transit people down there. If you can't work something out, you will be able to have your own transit. But at that point, the city is already working with Trailblazer, worked the deal out, and like I said, did an end around the county. Didn't serve the county at all. I'm just pointing that out. This was not a good deal that you made. I tried to point it out to you. I said it's not a good partnership. It's not a good representation. They were actually good. Now, you guys did, I'll have to give you credit, because you did a whole lot better on the finance end of it, because they were going to charge us something $300,000 to $500,000 a year.
Well, no, that's the buy-in. They estimated that. But.
Okay, but still, they did way better. I'll just leave it at that. You did way better on the finance end than we had, than they were willing to offer us as the county. So, but anyway, now we're at this deal where I still think this isn't ironed out enough yet. I think, and then, like I said, I have no problem wherever the transit thing goes, put this money in, but I think maybe we should, my recommendation to the board at this point, maybe we should hold off and just see where this works out, That's just my, because you don't need the money right now.
No, so at the last WCAT meeting, Trailblazer presented 2 invoices to WCAT. One was for that upfront capital costs of the purchase of the buses. And I apologize, I got an email at 8:30 that you guys were talking about this at 9 o'clock, so I just
Okay.
rushed here, so I don't have all the exact numbers, but it's 180-some thousand approximately for the upfront capital. And then there's another small invoice, 50,000 possibly for local share of
And so-
operating. I don't even
But
think
see,
it's that high,
that-
so don't quote me on those numbers, but
And what do you mean by the local share? The operating costs?
yeah, the operating piece.
And see, and
Yep.
if you guys weren't planned on paying operating costs as the cities, then what did you get into?
No, we were planning on paying
But
operating
you're
costs.
not
of the
using this
cities.
money for that, though.
So I guess the way I view it is those funds that you hold are from a 5311 funded service, right? From a public transit service. Those were dollars that were generated from Wright County individuals, users of that 5311 service. When River Rider, and I'm not going to dispute how that all happened with the county or the cities, my recollection, and I was involved in it, and I was here at meetings, there were a lot of people here. There was a lot of concern that transit was going to be going away if Wright County was unable to
and just
figure
so you
that
know,
out.
it
And that
wouldn't
might
have.
not have happened.
It wouldn't have.
Yeah, but that was the concern, and that's why the city stepped up, and I can tell you, the majority of cities would love it if the county wanted to take it all back. So, I mean, we're not doing it because we want to do it in replace of the county, we're doing it because we want to make sure there's transit available to our residents. But with that said, I guess my question is, does it matter if it's operation or capital, that 5311 money should be
I
in a
think it does.
5311 account?
No, it doesn't legally, but it does to me, because if you can't live within your means and you're using this, I know the next step is to come back to say, well, these are counties, this isn't just cities, they come out to the townships. I can hear the argument coming already. And where this money came from, Kelly, is because River Rider was run very conservatively. Okay, now some people will criticize it for that because we didn't provide some services, but we didn't provide services a lot of times because the state wouldn't allow us to either. For some reason, and I do not understand fully, Trailblazer is allowed to just basically run anywhere they want, whether they'll drive from Delano to Cokato with one person on and drive back empty and go back 2 hours later. We would never be allowed to do that as River Rider. The state wouldn't have allowed it. We had to show that there was some efficiency in the operation, and that's where that money came from. We made money. We made approximately $100,000 a year, and we were charging $1.25 a ride, not $2 and $4 a ride. So, like I said, it was run very conservative, and that money was made that way. And if we're, one second, Derek, if we're going to use this for operations, for just your cost share of operating, then you're going backwards.
And I think I can't speak on behalf of the board, but I think if Wright County were to give those funds, there's going to be future capital costs. So if that money needs to be earmarked for capital costs, I don't think anybody at WCAT would dispute that. I can't speak for everybody, but I guess I would question, what else are you going to use it for?
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
Brian Lee, can we even legally disperse that money? I mean, I don't even know that we even have the authority to do that.
Yeah, yes, we do. As long as it's going to a transit.
For transit.
For transit, but if transit that, I mean, how do we deem that we're not liable, that they spend it appropriately if we disperse it out, or is our liability off on how they spend it then?
I think,
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Batch, Mike Potter asked me quite a while ago to kind of take a look at this, and I was a little slow in getting to it, but you know, the rules aren't all that clear, but what seems to be clear, at least in terms of the directives we've gotten from MnDOT, is that it needs to be used for transit, obviously. There's a letter from 2015 where Mike Schotauer, the director, says, when these funds come to you, so this is 2 years ago, when these funds come to you, you either need to send them to WCAT or Trailblazer. Then in February of this year, we get a letter from the same person saying, you need to send this money to Trailblazer. So it's unclear to me as to what exactly MnDOT's thinking, but getting back to the letter that we've gotten from WCAT, they're just asking for a meeting. They're not asking for the money. They've passed a resolution asking for the money, but the letter asks for a meeting.
Yeah.
I think it's okay to have a meeting.
sure.
I'm always happy to have meetings. I just don't want to get into a position where we've sent the money somewhere and then try to rake it back or somebody changes their mind. So, you know, meetings are good for that purpose, to clarify what the heck is going on. MnDOT should probably be a part of that meeting.
Mr. Potter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. That letter from the Director of Transit, MnDOT Transit, Schotauer, said it must be used for transit. The words are important because the lawyers know that. And they directed where Sherburne County would likely go. And it said for Wright County, it may go to either WCAT or Trailblazers. That's from Schotauer. As we've all got that letter, and I think I get a copy for Commissioner Batch. Okay, subsequent letter comes from Tom Godfried, and said it must go here. And there's seems to be a rift between those two as what the legalese on requirements. In the way I read it, that it must be used for transit, period. But it doesn't say in the law that we have to give it to one another. We could, the way I'm reading the law, we could give it all to the veterans for rides. We could give it all to Health and Human Services, right, as long as it's used for transit purposes, period.
And Mike, I wrote a letter to Godfrey and Schotauer, and I got the letter back, and I asked them to show me in the law, cite the statute where you have that authority to tell us that, and he could not do it. So.
Mr. Chair, I'll follow up with that. The fact that with River Rider being a completely separate entity from Trailblazer, there is no merging, there is no folding, there is nothing there. The fact that the residual money came to Wright County in the first place told me that MnDOT did not have legal authority to keep that money.
Right.
Because if they did, they would have grabbed it. I would have bet the farm on that one, even your farm, Charlie. I'd bet your farm on it. Because if they had the power to do it, they would have done it then. They wouldn't even have let this process go this way. But they didn't have the legal authority to take that money because that was generated by Wright County.
So if it's a meeting that we're asking, like I said, and I think, I guess I'm getting ahead of it, and I'll apologize for that but I think I see the end game here anyway. But a meeting, like Brian said, we can always have a meeting. So.
Yeah.
Lee, you want to set up a meeting sometime and let us know?
Certainly could.
I'm okay with that. Anybody else have objection to it?
Mr. Chair, I think
You're
we need a
objecting to
meeting. I think we need a meeting because, you know, as Kelly said, there are residents that, you know, that are affected with transit. We have a lot of people in the townships that are using this, and the cities are paying for that, so.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
Mr. Chair, with this meeting with WCAT, I'm wondering if it shouldn't be a two-tiered type meeting. One, for us to meet with WCAT first, because if MnDOT's at the table at the first meeting, I'm wondering if there gonna be some misspoke
Yeah.
action or something there.
Misspoken.
That seems to be the
I don't
common
think we
theme.
could not allow
Well,
them to come.
I'm just wondering if, just to try to find out exactly where they're at before we, on the second meeting, have MnDOT there, just to make sure that it's not getting dominated by one way or another, and then all of a sudden the bully pulpit comes out.
Right.
Because I don't want to, guess that's not going to accomplish anything.
Yeah. I think it would be great to have open dialogue with the cities, with WCAT, county board, and see where everything's going before we involve the state.
I agree. I think we should have it without the state for the first.
Yep.
But you can't, they can attend, it's a
They can
public
attend.
It's a
meeting.
public
Yeah.
meeting, but I don't think we need to extend the invite as they.
I wouldn't invite them to either one of them if we had two of them. I don't know why you say anything to them.
Mr. Chair, another option, I mean, you know, I know WCAT has a Joint Powers Board, but I'm assuming that they could designate a couple of representatives, as could this board, to meet, and it would not be in a public setting, if you're interested in that. I mean, we don't want to pick fights with anyone, whether it be the cities or MnDOT.
No.
But if you want to have all I'm saying is if you want to have a meeting in a private setting,
Why don't
you can.
why don't we leave it up to WCAT? I'm okay with it either way, I actually am, so.
I think we would designate a few individuals to meet with either the whole county board or a few individuals from the county board to hash the details out and then come up with a resolution. I think that would be acceptable.
Yeah.
I think we'll leave it up to WCAT to choose if they want the whole county board or if they just want a couple of representatives. And I'll make a motion to set up a meeting with WCAT and their choice of either the whole county board or a couple of representatives. And
We're just going to decide the representatives if they reset.
Well,
either that or they can,
Two.
either that or they can request two different ones and we can.
I would like to be one of them anyway, just because of my history.
We'll leave it up to them.
Well, no, I'm not gonna let them pick who they get to pick on our board, Mark.
No,
Come
they're-
on.
No, who they are sending.
But they're people, but I said if we do it, if we don't do it with our entire board, I would like to be one of the members, so. All right, good enough? That's a motion, though. What?
Did you make
I'll
that?
second
It's
that
kind of
motion.
vague, though. What?
Yeah, I was.
He's leaving it
say,
back
let's
to them,
clarify.
for them to set a meeting with us.
But that's okay.
Yeah, but then you don't want to name people from our board if they choose just a couple of us?
No, I'd rather wait,
Then we'll do that.
because they could choose a date where you're not available.
And to be honest, I don't know if we would, I mean, if you want it to be in a workshop setting, I think there's more information and more details. We just had very short notice of this coming today, and so I think when we provide you the information and the details, it could be at a county board meeting setting that you guys could be given the information.
I
and
think
make
it's
a
too
decision
detailed for
about.
that.
So, but that's up to you.
Yep.
That's why, if you guys think that it's better off with just a small group to start out with, to get down into minutia, or if you want to take it to the whole board, we'll leave that up to WCAT.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So reiterate your motion, because I don't think Lee quite has it either.
I'll make a motion to set up a meeting with WCAT to discuss this, and we will leave it up to them if they prefer to do it with just a small two-person committee, or if they want to bring it to the full board.
Okay,
And then the dates will be set up too.
and we'll designate the time and the personnel.
Yeah, later. And they'll look at it based off of time and that sort of stuff.
Sounds like we wouldn't even really need a motion, we could just wait for them to come back, right?
Well, this is
No,
just
we
making
didn't.
sure.
We're giving them direction.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. All right, further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 I'm gonna abstain just because I think it's a kind of a immaterial motion. I think we could have just told them right here to set up a meeting, but anyway. All right, motion carries 4 with 1 abstention. Not against it though either.
So we can say that he
same
doesn't
thing
want
as
to be on the meeting committee
All
because he
right.
abstained.
I think so. He's not interested in it.
He's not interested.
That's kind of the impression I got.
Okay, advisory committee, advisory board updates.
Mr. Chair, I'll start first.
Go ahead, yep. Yeah, I like that enthusiasm.
What? He's looking at Lee.
I have nothing, Mr. Chair.
I figured that's where he's going with it.
Want me to go next?
Sure.
Well, just kudos to the Law Day yesterday. I mean, it's very well attended. There was a lot of people that came in and took care of outstanding issues, warrants, et cetera. But a lot-
do we have a number on how many?
I haven't heard, but it was, I went to 3 of the sessions. I went to the drug court, and they have currently 10 participants in the program, and 1 participant got up and spoke about what a difference it's made in his life, and he said he did have one little backslide since he's been in the program, and he learned a lot getting sanctioned, and have to get up in front of the drug court and make his apologies about what happened. But he said that really the 10 that are in this program now have gotten, to be pretty close, and they kind of police each other, and they attend a lot of the AA meetings even when they don't have to. So that's been a great thing. And I went to, I've always been kind of in awe of court reporters, how they can, transcribe everything that's going on. It's a 3-year program, there's only 1 in the state, and they have to, when they leave the program after 3 years, they have to type like 230 words a minute. And they're typing like 300 and some words per minute in the court setting, and they have to buy their own equipment. They're can't think of what they're called, but they're
Independent
machine.
contractors?
Yep.
Oh,
It was like
yeah.
$5,000, and software is like $4,000. It's expensive. They showed the program and how sometimes the words autofill incorrectly because they're not in their dictionary, but they also have an audio recording at the same time, so they can go back and verify if there's words that they weren't familiar with. But it was pretty fascinating. And then I also went to the probation officer, Karen Davis did a presentation on restorative justice, and yeah, and that was just so much makes sense. It's like drug court, to give people the tools they need to succeed, and to the restorative justice is bringing victims in to often meet with offenders, and sometimes it's completely voluntary, but to really it gives you a different way of thinking about it. Instead of ostracizing someone and pushing them out of the community, if you find a way of bringing them into the community and to be accepted, there's more chance for success and to keep them from offending again. So it was a great day. And then I would just like to say that there's the 8th Annual Autism Resource Fair, Making Connections, this Saturday in the Monticello High School from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. And it's sponsored by the Wright County Autism Allies. So it should be, if you have any questions, you could call Rochelle Kramer here at the county at 763-682-7455, or go to news@autismallies.org. That's it.
Okay.
All right, thank you. And the only thing I had is the Fair Board last night. The fair is going to be the last 5 days of July, so July 26th through July 30th. And also, and Commissioner Potter, you might be interested in coming along with us. We actually have a small group that's going to go up and look at Litchfield's, we haven't arranged it yet, but we're going to look at Litchfield's 4-H food stand up there.
Okay.
They built a new building, well, relatively new, and we want to go up and question them, make sure that it's, because we're looking at doing a new 4-H food building. Ours is pretty aged, and it's not really efficient anymore, and so I'll try to keep you in the loop if you can make it on that.
Appreciate that, Mr. Chair, and just for an update for that, that building was old when I was in 4-H and serving.
I think it was around when they actually housed prisoners of war at the fairgrounds for 2 summers. I think that was around that.
It's an old building.
That was the mess hall when they, that was the mess hall? For the-
That was jail.
Okay. All right, that's all I had. Mark?
The only thing I've got is that we started the kickoff meeting yesterday with Infotech regarding the technology department and how that's going to look in the future with all the other different departments and moving things forward to try and get some of these projects that have been sitting out there for a long time. I think it was a good start. There's 3 more days left, today, tomorrow, and Thursday, with Thursday having some receivables with some high recommendations on 40 or 50 more employees we need for IT or different things. And no, I'm just kidding about the 40 or 50.
Me and Mark with a bunch of us put a good 9 hours into it during close to yesterday.
Yeah, it was a long day, but I think it was really.
It was
We got concerns out there from the departments that have issues. So we're moving forward with, what would a perfect world look like? What can we actually be able to accomplish and afford? So they're looking at it very, I think, diplomatic and very well. The administration department was represented by our very own county coordinator. So I don't know if you have anything to add into it and what you thought.
I thought it was a very interesting day. I thought there's some very good questions asked, and we got some, I think, pretty good, insightful answers from the group. A lot of things got on the table, and a lot of discussion about not only IT structure, but I think the county structure as a whole, and some points that can also be applied out to the organization in a broader sense.
Yep.
That came to light and so forth. So I think it's been time well spent thus far. It was kind of a long day yesterday, but I definitely think it's a positive thing, and it's going to move us in a good direction.
I think it will. I think
Good.
I can speak for myself, and I think Commissioner Metch was in the same boat that I was in, that we have no preconceived motion. We're going in with open eyes and figure out what's going to be best for the county as a whole, not for any department, but for the county. So I think we're going to come up with some really good answers. Some of them we're not going to like to hear.
I mean, I look at it as the day progressed. I think it started off for the first couple hours. Everybody's really defensive, and they wanted to tote out to protect what they have. But by the end of the day, I think everybody kind of their defenses were down, and it was to the point now where it's like, okay, let's talk about how this needs to look to make it work, and that's where we're hoping to get. So
Yeah. No more in the past. Let's deal with the future.
That's always a good discussion to have. I like to say the name on the front of the jersey, not the name on the back, and I think we've operated for many years in a very siloed, this is my kingdom fashion.
Yep.
I think that this discussion yesterday was really good on trying to get people to collaborate more.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Wednesday, April 25th, myself, Commissioner Hewsome and Commissioner Dahleden were at the public health orientation meeting over at Health and Human Services, just kind of giving us some directions and some food for thought as us as a board, as the public health authority for the county, just to kind of keep our thoughts and our actions in place, public health minded, to make sure that we are meeting the public health needs of the county. It was good for getting your wheels turning, the discussion points to it. So look forward to kind of keeping more track on some of the public health trends for the county. So other than that, I have nothing else.
Okay, and we have at 11 o'clock an owners committee for the courts facility. And at 1 o'clock will be a reorganization committee of the whole meeting with the human resources regarding reorganization, so.
Do we have a 1:30 meeting?
Bench
1:30
Was the
bench meeting.
Correct, there's the bench meeting, 1:30 to 2, depending on how long we go.
Okay, that's what I thought. I
1:30.
thought there was another one in there.
Yeah, which we just authorized attendance at. I think it's also important to note that we do have the public hearing for the local option
yes,
sales tax on Thursday night.
On
7?
Thursday night,
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock?
Correct, yep,
Here in the boardroom.
in the board.
Right here.
And
Okay.
hopefully we'll get some feedback.
Yeah.
Okay, with that, we are adjourned at 10:24.